Hello guys, my name is Talia and welcome to Tal's Thoughts. We are going to be going on a journey with Christopher Panzo and learning a little bit about what he does and why he does it. Christopher, how are you doing today?
I can't complain. How about you?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for having me, of course.
Of course. Christopher started off as a client and became a really good friend. We really get into depth with life, people, our surroundings, and everything that happens in our lives. And it's just fascinating to me specifically that I have the power to be able to get these things out of my clients and my friends and family, and for the sole reason of learning about human behavior, learning about just life in general, and how just fascinating life is, why we do things we love, why we do things we don't love. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to ask you, like, what is it that you do on an everyday basis? Like, what do you do for work? What do you do for everyday life? What do you love? What do you don't love? Do you have kids? What do we got going on?
Yeah, so for work, I'm a lineman. I work for the railroad. Okay. That takes probably more of my time than I'd like it to, but at the same time, I have to be grateful because it is a good job. It's a very good career. A lot of people would kill for it, and it enables me to provide for my son. My son is 2. My little man, Sonny.
Yep.
He's wild and smart and beautiful and everything I could have ever asked for and more. So that has become my motivation. And I wasn't always somebody that saw myself as having kids. If I'm being real with you, I kind of wanted no part of it. I thought I was too selfish at the time, and but life and God and the universe kind of has its own plans for you, regardless of what yours are. So you just roll with it. And for that, I wouldn't change a thing, because he has become my motivation for sure.
Really?
When I needed it the most, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
So you're a dad.
Yeah.
You're a dad, and that's awesome, and it literally sparks this beautiful smile in your eyes, not just your mouth, but your whole face sparks up. And it's funny you say that. We all think we don't want something until you actually experience it. Yeah. And that just brings me to something in regards to life. We think we know who we are.
Oh, we have no idea.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. Life will test you if you think
correct,
so.
Correct. You think I truly believe that none of us know who we are, really, because we can't necessarily put ourselves in every single situation possible and know what we would do, right?
I also think that, not to cut you off, I also think that we attach who we think we are to the wrong things. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say it in terms of right or wrong, but things that we're kind of programmed to believe what makes us us. Oh, what kind of car you drive? What do you do for work? What do you own? This and that. Or what do you think about this? What kind of clothes do you wear? We all attach who we are to that, and
to the physical stuff.
Yeah, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
not. But we were taught that way.
Absolutely.
How old are you, Chris?
Absolutely. 37.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 36 this year.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of what we got taught was that you are where you go to school, you are who you talk to, you are how you dress, you are that, and it's
what kind of music you listen to, what movies you like, all that kind of nonsense.
Creates an insecurity.
100%.
And then 100%. You walk around not even knowing you're insecure. You're but we all are insecure when we have to pretend. There's a lot of pretending.
Yeah. Well, it's I think
without knowing it.
I think a lot of it is we're made to, in so many ways, be afraid to be who we are and be afraid of being seen, and you don't even realize that you are afraid of that. It's it messes with you, and then, like you said, life will throw curveballs at you and test you, and then you'll end up changing into somebody you had no idea who you were going to be, which I can attest to that. I mean, 100%. My life has been kind of a roller coaster ride of many peaks and valleys and all that, and then that's fine, and I'm grateful for all those experiences. But had you told me that I was going to be the person I am today, 10 or 15 years ago, I would have said absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No
Same.
way. No way.
And honestly, growing up, I was such a tomboy. I love casual, and I am very casual to this day. I wear makeup here and there. I just like to be comfortable. Yeah. Right. I have 3 boys. I love to get down and dirty, and I did wrestling. I did all this stuff that not a little girl, princessy girl would do. Right. But I'm in the beauty industry. Right. But weird enough, getting into the beauty industry and dealing with clients that want to, fix up their physical appearance, and then getting in depth with like their mental state has made me realize that like that's what I'm working on. I'm working on that like beauty inside. But the first step to that was to kind of get uncomfortable with, I'm in the beauty industry? How?
Right.
I never would have thought the same thing.
Right.
I was like, I would, and I didn't really think about kids until I had them. I mean, I had them at a young age, but I didn't necessarily, I wasn't that little girl that wanted a little like carriage. I didn't want, like, I wasn't like, doing that whole thing.
That wasn't your life dream, just to walk around with kids.
No.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And you know what? I love that, like, I feel like for me, motherhood, like what it is to be a mother isn't me pushing a stroller.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's me like having a connection with a little human being that I literally made inside of me, and it's amazing. It's like, that's really what I love about being a parent, right?
Yeah.
It's not even about the
you're making your own way with it.
Yeah,
you're making your own way. You're not doing just what you pictures to be the perfect TV commercial parent. I mean, I always thought that being a dad meant I had to drive a minivan and bring 12 kids to soccer practice. And
12.
Wear loafers and a pink sweater tied around my neck with a polo shirt, and that was it, and be told by my wife what to do all day. Yeah, and I'm like, and then look forward to just going to golf on Sundays. Like, that's my whole life. And
and then you're like, wait, that's not me.
Yeah, not at all.
What do you think about right and wrong? Give me your opinions on right and wrong.
I think there's a lot of definitions of right and wrong.
Thank you. Can you give me a high five for that? Because that's what screws us up.
It's subjective.
Yes.
Right or wrong is subjective. It totally is. Because what's right for you may be like complete opposite for me, and vice versa.
And that's okay. That's like, how can you have to respect that? Like, I feel like you have to respect that in everybody's life.
You do, and everybody has a different moral compass in you, and what's important to you and me could be totally different. I mean, you and me just happen to believe in a lot of the same things and agree in a lot of the same things, so it works. But I mean, somebody could walk through the door right now and their right means the sky is green, and that's fine.
I love that analogy, because I say the same thing. It's like, cool. Like, I feel you. Like,
right. Whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to judge. The
only one living that life is them.
Correct.
And this is what it's about, right? It's like, I love listening to your story and how you feel about things. What got you to this point, though? Right? Because I think, like me, I've built up to be this way, and I love that I've gotten, and I'm so happy. But what got you here to who you are?
I mean, that's how much time you got. Well, I mean, it's
episode 2 coming in 2 months.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, for me, my life has been, like I said, definitely ups and downs. I was always somebody that struggled to be who I was, or to openly be who I was. I always felt I came from a strong old school Italian household, and how you looked outside to the rest of the world was everything, and how you were perceived as everything, and that's fine. I mean, and that's no fault to my parents, grandparents, or any of them. That's what they were taught. That's all they knew. So, if you did something out of the ordinary, like, if you weren't playing sports or doing good in school, or you did this or did that, it was kind of looked at as
you're a piece of shit.
Pretty much.
You're gonna be nobody.
Pretty much.
You're gonna be nobody.
Right. And it's not that my parents made me feel that way. I think my parents were young when they had me. They were 20, which I'm grateful now that they're young and young enough to keep up with my son and all that, which is great. But they were kids. I couldn't imagine being 20 and having a kid, especially the level that I was on mentally and emotionally and all that. No fucking way.
Now, do you feel like, did you fight back when you were a kid? Oh my God,
yeah. My father calls me Rage Against the Machine to this day.
Yeah.
I've always been a rebel, and that's fine. Honestly, that's probably one thing that I've held on to my whole life that I've never changed, and I don't think I ever will.
Me too.
I can't just do what everybody
you're
else
telling me to do, whatever you think I'm supposed to do.
Right. And I understand, like, 99% of it probably definitely comes from a good place. Yeah.
It's programmed.
But I think the intention is there. And what they're meant to do is to help guide and all that. Because now I've learned as a parent, and like I said, he's only 2, but our job is to guide him along.
Guide them, support them, love them.
Right. And, as long as they're not hurting anybody, you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But that message wasn't always conveyed growing up because it was, I was just different. I like different stuff, I mean, and I will say this, it forced me to try to put myself into a box and be like everybody else and fit in. And I used to eat a lot of shit because of it. Not for my parents, but like outside. I used to put up with a lot of things, and I became a people pleaser and just wanted to be part of the crowd and all that. And never really kind of embraced the fact that I wasn't part of the crowd and realized that it's pretty fucking cool not to be. But it was tough. I mean, and it took me years to get to this point of like embracing that part of me. I mean, it got so bad to the point where I numbed myself with drugs for like 15 years.
Wow.
Got myself to a point that not many people come out of.
And what do you think, what got you out of that?
Being sick and tired of being sick and tired, honestly. I tried, like AA, NA, rehabs, all that kind of stuff, and it never really did anything for me because I couldn't get on board with it.
Better.
No, it didn't. It didn't do anything for me. It wasn't, and that's no shade on for people that works for. I mean, if that's what keeps you together and on the right path, God bless you,
Do you feel like what I personally have an issue with, not is that concept of like going through rehab and things like that, when it comes to like drugs and alcohol and addictions. I have such it seems very weird that you're constantly reminded that that's who you are. Right? That's what I don't like about it.
You hit it on the head.
Right?
That's why it didn't work for me. I wanted to be able to turn the page in my life and move on.
And you were constantly reminded, like, I've never been to rehab, right? But like you see it on shows. I love to watch a good movie. They represent a lot of things of what's going on outside that I haven't gone through, right? So going to like an AA meeting supposedly, right? And they're going up stage and they're going up in front of people, and they're like, I am an alcoholic and I did this and that. And they're constantly, and it just seems weird. I'm like, how are they getting help? And I don't know, like, someone explain this to me, right? Like, how are we getting help if we're constantly being reminded that this is it, and then you're struggling to pull out of it, and you constantly be reminded?
I think for some people, like my grandfather I used to call him Mr. AA. He was in it for 40 years, sober, and it worked for him, and that was his thing. I think, for me, talking about it and being reminded of what a piece of shit I was every day does nothing for me. And attaching my identity to like, oh yeah, I'm an addict, so that's just going to be for the rest of my life. And I couldn't get on board with that concept. Because that, to me, that tells me that you can't change.
Yeah, like the way we think, especially, right? Like the way we think is like, we have to like, in the books that we listen to or read, it tells us like focusing on the present, right? To be able to project a better future.
Correct.
Right. So if you're focusing on the past,
stuck in it all the time.
You're stuck in that, then all you're doing is projecting your past into your future.
I agree.
Again and repetitively. And it's so
Well, how do you ever move on with your life if you're sitting there focused on that all the time?
Yeah. It's like let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about what we got going on today, right? Like being grateful, being like focusing on the things that literally are doing good for you, right? Like regardless if you had a shitty
not where you've
day.
been.
Correct. And even the things that you're going through today, right? Like let's say you had a bad morning, but then someone brought you a coffee into work, right? And instead of talking about the bad morning that you had, maybe a shitty start in the morning, like, wow, like my day is turning around. Like someone just got me a nice cup of coffee that I needed. I needed it because I was not feeling energized.
Yeah, just that act of
and then that goes into getting the rest of your day going, and then it's weird because things start happening.
Yeah. Things
start happening. Back a few years ago, I would say, let's say like something in traffic happened, and then that would just take up my day.
Yep.
And I noticed
it
was right. It was a spiral. Like it's almost like if I kept going on with that thought of like someone just like whatever flipping me off in traffic or whatever, for whatever reason, the rest of my day would become that.
Oh yeah.
And
Because you're focused on that one shitty interaction, and you're like, oh, well, this is just how my day's going to go, and it just kind of snowballs down.
And you accept it. Mm-hmm. You accept it, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do? What have you done?
So I used to be like that really bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm healed. I'm perfect. I don't do that shit no more.
You'll never be.
One thing that I've learned recently, and is that, like, when you're healing and going through this ride, one realization you come to is being healed doesn't mean you don't get triggered, because I get triggered every day. It's just what you do with it going forward, which is a very hard concept, because I always thought that, well, am I ever going to get to this point where things don't bother me? Because that's what I thought. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're like a monk, nothing bothers you. And that's so far from reality. But back to the point is, like, I would totally be like that. And I still have days where I'm like, this shit's just fucking eating at me all damn day. But now I'm at a point where I could say, well, you know what? Listen, I'm grateful. The sun is shining. It's 70 degrees out. The dragging on winter is over. My son's healthy. You know what I mean? I have all these things good happening, and you just try to be appreciative, and then your day changes.
It does. It does.
It
and
really
you
does.
see that, and you see that every time you do it. It's about practice.
Everything's practice.
It's like it becomes like a nice, good feeling habit to just practice that. And even though at first it might feel
like it's not
hard,
going
and
you're like
this is bullshit because you're not really feeling it actually.
Yeah, but the more you do it,
as you practice, you keep it. It's just you're like, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, that person just flipped me off.
Well, that's what it is.
Funny.
Things become way less heavy the more you do that. Mm-hmm. And that's what I can attest to for myself, is things that would, like, wreck me completely and just ruin my month don't really bother me like that anymore. It might bother me in the moment by doing that, just trying to.
But what got you to those philosophies and?
Oh God! Well, I mean, books. There's one book, I believe I sent it to you, New Life by Eckhart Tolle, I think is his name. Yes. And that one has been a good one. You know, I've been in therapy for the last 3 years. That has helped me drastically. Nice. I kind of just find myself really, if I'm not like doing research and homework on music and DJing and producing, I'm reading, you know, I don't want to say self-help, but like different philosophies and you know, healing stuff, personal development. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I look for it too.
If you don't do the work, nothing's going to change, and I can't sit stagnant. I will lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, you know? Yeah.
Like nothing. That's one thing that I learned. And going back to like the whole drug thing, is nobody was going to do that for me but me. And as far as like reminders go and living in the past, like I don't, but I do remind myself that, okay, well, that is confirmation that you can change anything.
Yeah.
And I just kind of remind myself that and go from there.
You're like, I'm able to do anything in this world and anything.
Anything at any given time. It's just self-limiting beliefs that get in the way, which I am still to this day very guilty of.
Yeah. You know? All of us. And then there's, like I said, like you said, there's always going to be triggers, and it's just about practice. Right. And then also praising yourself. How do you feel about guilt?
That's something that I'm still working on. Yeah. You know, we've talked about that for sure. I think, like, in the guilt realm of thinking, my biggest thing is being a single dad and feeling guilty about not spending time with him and doing something for myself, which is something that I work on. I'm still making myself, you know, go and do things and whatnot. But that's definitely hard, because I feel like one of the things that I've struggled with is I feel like my time with him is limited in a way, so I don't want to miss out on any more of that time than it's already cut short. I mean, and it's not cut short drastically. I mean, we have split custody and everything's like, I enjoy my breaks, but I try to do the things that I need to do on those days. So like, if I have him, I feel guilty doing something for myself.
Right.
You know, I feel like my time should be completely dedicated to him. And then that kind of becomes not fair to him, because now my mind is elsewhere.
Correct. I think we did speak about this, and I was telling you, like, you know, I struggled with that, and I was never satisfied at the end of the night, right? I would be doing both things at once, right? And I'm like,
and that's where the guilt.
That's where the guilt. And for parents out there, I would like to suggest that, you know, if you have 8 hours in your day, right, and, you know, I don't know, you can have those 8 hours with your kids. Take 3 of those hours out and do what you have to do. Don't include the kids. Don't include the kids, because if you do, now you're doing 2 things at once. You can't get things done at all, right? So
and you're like half focused on
eat both of them.
Each thing. Yeah, and that's like I said, that's where guilt has set in. That's where the guilt is. Shit, my attention's not really on him.
Right?
It's not really on that. Well, I didn't get nothing.
Nothing done, and you're better off saying, I'm going to dedicate 4 hours to my kids instead. You're just better off, and I've been doing that through practice and realizing that at the end of the night, I feel so much happier and so much relief, because not only did I get my shit done, right? Not only did I get my stuff done so good, so on it, and I feel proud of myself, because I count too. Parents out there need to really understand. That's the thing. You count too.
You just hit it on the head. Yep. It's almost like I feel like I came into this understanding, which was completely ass backwards, is that like once you have a kid, all of a sudden you don't matter anymore.
You don't matter.
And that's
another one. That's another one. The
program.
Parents.
Yeah.
That's another parent thing, because that's how my parents are. It's like, oh, like we're here to just take care of you, and they're working, and like, you know, not happy with themselves, and then guess what happens? Like, then they start projecting their negativity, their feeling of like not being fulfilled onto us, and then we're like feeling that tension of them.
Right. All of a sudden, you feel responsible for their happiness.
And you're like, but I didn't do this shit to you. Like, you had me come into this life. You know.
Well, then it goes to like, if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of somebody else? Even like in a relationship, like if you're not happy, how are you going to make somebody else happy?
Correct. And it's like that supposedly give and take, right? Like, let's say we're in a relationship and you're worried about making me happy, and then because you're worried about me, then now you're unhappy.
Right.
So we're just switching. We're going back and forth. Like, I make you happy, you make me happy, but then we're all both just not happy.
Right. And then you're just relying on each other and being codependent on each other's happiness, and it's just, that never really works.
That never works, because the only one that's in charge of your happiness is yourself. And so that, going back to the kids, I'll set aside, out of those 8 hours, you know what? I'm going to dedicate whatever I need for whatever I need to get done with me first. It's not kids, and then, because then you don't have that energy, right? You at least get yourself satisfied, fully recharged, right? Because once I'm done with the things that I have to do, whether it's like cleaning my house, or taking care of my salon, or doing paperwork, whatever it is, or even just like going out to coffee with a friend, right? Like, once I've satisfied my need to get certain things done, to meet up with a friend, because I haven't because that to me was also something that was part of it, right? That's something I needed to do. I needed to catch up with my friend. I needed to have a social life too. Once I've done that, I'm fulfilled. I'm energized. It's almost like you get this big influx of energy.
Finding a balance, I think, is like the key. And I mean, I think that's kind of like the goal in life always anyway, you know, is just trying to find balance.
You find that balance, you get that energy. Guess what? The next 4 hours with my kids, what am I doing?
You're more present.
I'm not looking at my phone.
Yeah, you're present, you're aware, you're involved, you're you know, they have your full undivided attention.
1,000%. And they're happier.
Yeah.
They're happier than when I had them for 8 hours.
Right. Now listen, I know it's not always easy to be that way. You know what I mean?
No.
It's hard to just be like, oh, I gotta go do this for like a couple hours. Like, you guys are on your own. But it's not like that. I mean, when your kids are older, I think it's easier to do that. With, you know, toddlers like we have also, you're chasing them around constantly.
Yeah.
You know, that kid is all gas, no brakes. Until he crashes, you know.
In my situation, I would say, like, you know, if for the day they're at daycare, or like when
you use the time available, and that's what I mean by the balance. Like, you use what time and leeway you have available to get things done, not just sit there and slack and be like, oh, I'm too tired. I mean, that's one thing I'm guilty of. I've worked nights, so I'm like tired all the time.
You're tired.
So it's constantly trying to find myself, okay, well, I need to get this done, you know, but I also need to rest, but I also need to be like charged and
ready for my son, because
I'm going to be chasing him around the house or wherever all day. So I think that's just ultimately the goal in life in general, is just balance.
I was trying to work, you know, I'm all pretty chaotic for the most part. I like change. I actually really love change, and I love to like do a bunch of things, and but what I found is that I still have that change in my life constantly, right? But now I allocate a certain day or a day or two to get my shit done regardless.
That's what I've kind of learned to do as well. And it was a learning curve. It was tough. You know, you have to try to adjust and change things and find what works for you. And it's definitely not easy. It's trial and error. You know, I mean, even myself, I try to take one solid day that I don't have him to get everything that I need to get done. And if I don't, I try to like split it up into another day. You know, I do my best. You know, even with making music, I try to get there and sit in front of that thing at least a half hour a day in front of the computer.
And as he gets older, maybe you can include him too.
Oh my God, yeah.
They love that stuff.
He's going to have a blast. I'm looking so forward to that.
The little one, the one that's the same age as yours, like, he loves cleaning with me. I decided, I was like, you know what? Like, he still enjoys cleaning
You're making an activity.
And making an activity. And I'm like, oh, that works. Yeah. Like, I need to clean. And I didn't really have that time today to clean.
Right.
But you know what? He loves to like do it with me. He is loving with this. Whatever, I give him a little, vacuum, and then he pretends, and then we're dancing, and then we'll put the music on, and we'll do both of them at once, but together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you're
really
bonding,
cool.
He's learning, you're both having fun, you're getting your shit done, so it's a win for everybody. I do that with my cooking. Like my meal prep. I'll sit him in his high chair with me, I'll put some music on, I'll give him his little fake fruit and vegetables and his little plastic fake knife.
I love it.
And he'll sit there and cut, and he's having a blast, and I'm getting my shit done, and everybody's good.
I love that. I love that.
It's like I said, but back to balance. If you can find ways to make everything work, it's just when things get heavy and you become overwhelmed, then like for me, I go into a shutdown. So it's getting yourself out of that.
What's your ideal life?
My ideal life would be to be able to live on the water somewhere, watch my son play sports and music and do whatever he wants to do, and be able to just kind of make music all day and travel the world. That's ideally,
What do you think would be what is it that you do now to make that essentially happen? Because that's possible, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Okay, good.
Absolutely,
I'm glad you said that it is, because some people they think about their ideal life and they're like, it's impossible.
Well, it's just that self-limiting beliefs, which I'm guilty of.
All of us are.
I'm like, oh, well, I can't
Most of the population.
Yeah, I'm I'll take myself for an example. Like, I can't just pick up and travel the world and quit my job right now. I need the health insurance because it's really good for my son, and I need the steady income to provide for him and to provide for myself, So things get in the way of achieving that. Yeah, they do. But at the same time, you're like, well, okay, I can't do that today, but I could do something to point me in that direction. I could continue to work on my music. I continue to read books that are going to expand my consciousness and help me evolve as a human being and become a better dad and a better just human all the way around. And I feel like that's what I try to do is every day, a little bit at a time. I mean, you don't have to master everything in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day.
For real.
That shit took time. So, but that's the other thing too. I feel like
that's
as far as self-limiting belief is feeling this immense pressure, like you're always in a rush to get to the end of the race, when instead it's really about enjoying the ride. It's about the journey. And I hate sounding cliche as fuck about it, but it's the truth.
Because you're always going to have a different goal. Always. You're going to get there and you're going to have a different goal. And you're going to get there and I've lived
like that forever. I'm like, oh, I just really want to do this. And then I did it. And I'm like, well, okay, that really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. What's the next thing?
What's the next thing? Or you're just like, oh, that was really cool. I love that.
Right.
I can't, it really is because the goals keep coming.
Yeah.
And it really is about the journey.
You're never going to get there, and you're never going to get that satisfaction that you rest so heavy on a goal.
I love the journey. I love your journey. Do you love even the contrast that it brought? Because the contrast meaning the problems that you came about in your past.
Oh, I'm definitely grateful for them now.
Yeah, at the time you don't think that.
No, at the time, oh my God, no. At the time you're just like, oh, this is horrible. But now, looking back, I feel like my ride up to this point has definitely helped mold me. I don't want to attach my identity to it. That's a whole nother topic. But I think it's brought the spiritual, mental, and social awareness that I have, and I'm grateful for that. I mean, I look, not to sound judgy, but I look at a lot of people in the world walking around, and they're just like fucking robots, man. And I'm so grateful I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I am so grateful for all the issues that have been brought upon me, and even though at the time I did not feel like it was a good thing. Now I think back.
Was too.
What the hell is the point? It's like life has to give you some type of lesson. How can you be grateful for life if you haven't experienced downfalls.
Right.
Right? Like, if everything's like perfect 24/7, that's actually not a privilege.
Hell no,
The
it's not,
privilege
because then
is
like
to expand.
yeah, like people like that, you spill a glass of milk and then their whole world is shattered. I
Right.
don't want to be that
Don't
way
know.
ever. You know?
And good for them, but they can never really be grateful. And
you
then one
can't start
day
to relate to
it
people like
sucks.
that too. Yeah.
You know, I appreciate everything that's gone in my life, and I'm glad to hear that as my first guest, like, we're very alike in that sense, that
for sure.
we can really appreciate life and the journey. And this is what this podcast is for. This is to learn about people's journey and where their beliefs are, and where their journeys
people,
are.
I feel like,
yeah, to help people understand other people. Like,
Yeah.
just like I will never be in your shoes.
Right.
Like, similar shoes, maybe.
Right.
Similar anything, maybe, with people, right? So every person that I bring into here,
You could relate.
I could relate
and
to.
learn.
But at the end of the day, there's not one single person out there living the same exact life, because at the end of the day, everybody's perception is so different.
Oh,
So
for sure.
we're here to learn about perception. We're here to learn about journeys. We're here to learn about everything that we can from one another. And when doing that, like, we just expand. And you're going to expand with me, expand in this knowledge, expand in this universe. And to think that you know everything is probably the worst thing that you could think.
Listen, the more that I learn, the more that I realize I don't know shit.
For real.
You know, that's the truth. You know, the way I look at it is this: if, like, even like today's episode, for example, if it helps one person feel not alone, then I think we accomplished the goal. You know, I think that people need to realize, because I can speak for this for myself, is like, I felt alone so many times through so many different situations in life, and just to like now that I know you and I know the things that you've gone through, and I'm like, well, we do have similar things in that regard. You feel like less of an alien, and you're like, okay, things aren't that bad.
You're not
Like,
alone.
we'll get through it. You know
You're
what
not
I mean?
alone.
So that if that
Anything,
helps
you
somebody,
can help
I'm
one
happy.
person, and that's also definitely why I'm here. Quick before, like, we start wrapping this up, I just, like you said, if you could just help one person, that hit home just now, right now, because I had a loss yesterday, and he is not blood related, but he's my godfather. He passed away yesterday, and not that we were always like together, but he was in my childhood, and what he did for us was insane. Like, he took in my dad as almost like his own, right? Brought him in. My dad's an immigrant, and started working for him, and we helped him out, got all his shit together. My dad brought in 2 kids that weren't his, and 2 kids that are his, right? And that man, took him in and helped him, and made him part of who he is today. He's a chef. He's, well known, my dad. And, because my dad didn't have a father, his dad died at 10. So that man not being blood, not knowing us, and just doing that for us, and then taking me as his goddaughter. When he passed yesterday, I was like this, it made me do this even more, want to do this even more, because that was such an impact. And more because he wasn't family. Because a lot of us are like, blood is thicker than water shit.
Heart, yeah.
And it's like, no, because at the end of the day, this just doesn't have anything to do with it. We're all humans.
Right.
We're all supposed to be brothers and sisters. We're all connected. We're all connected. We're all supposed to, like, love each other unconditionally. And we're in this place, like, where we're judging and judging and judging, and why did they do that, and why did you do this, and I wouldn't do, how dare did you say, and it's wild, because like, you've never been in their position, and as much as, like, I might not agree with somebody in certain things, I can no longer pass judgment. Not that I've never, but I try.
You don't know
not
what it's
to.
like walking in their shoes. And that's
So
one of the biggest divisions we have as people is people don't want to look at something from somebody else's side of the table.
And you don't have to, but you gotta respect it.
That's it.
Right? Just respect it. Just be there and have, like, listening ears. And that's what I want to. That's what this is for. This is so I can hear you out. I can hear my people out, and, like, try to understand. And if I don't, it doesn't matter. I respect you. I love you. Like, you're a fucking human and you're still here
respect
and you're
that we're all
loving.
trying to figure this out and nobody has all the answers.
I feel you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
I'm grateful
and
for
like,
you having me. Yeah, I'm honored.
And like, I appreciate that. And like, we'll definitely keep this going because like,
I think you should. For sure.
we, even at one point if we can both be on here and then have somebody else, a third person here.
Yeah.
This would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, honestly. Well, thank you guys. This is Christopher Panzo. I'm Talia, and we're out.